So this is it. This is the Lamborghini Urus, or Urus. What do you think? First impressions?
Oh, wow. You know, I've been wanting to sit in this car and get a feel for it for a long time. And so far, I'm really impressed. It's everything I thought it would be. And just the interior, the finish, the materials.
Well, you're sitting in the second best seat in the house, the passenger seat. You're going to get
Obviously.
a chance to sit in the driver's seat. You know what we should do? Let's roll down the windows. Let's turn off the engine here. And let's give it a start.
Mm-hmm.
Let me buckle up here for safety. Safety first, people.
Safety first, always.
All right. So there's what looks like a launching of a very important missile or perhaps fighter jet. There's a red switch here. You switch up and hit the start button.
Mm-hmm. And then it comes to life. And you can start it in different modes, right? We'll go through the modes later. Oh my God, this car is mental!
Yeah, and I guess I should have brushed up on my Italian because these
Nieve. I learned some Italian. Nieve for snow.
Good, you could teach me. And off camera here, I was practicing a little bit. It took me about 4 or 5 minutes to figure out how to put the car into drive.
Just click it.
I didn't know. It's not intuitive, but
it is not.
It's fun. So put the car in reverse.
Okay.
Take the parking brake off. We'll start in
street mode. Strata. Off we go. And I'm sure we'll have some time to look at the exterior shortly, maybe after we're done with everything. But just a quick description. It's a very bright, vivid yellow. And you just can't miss this on the road. It stands out, as it's supposed to.
So it's a very smooth drive. I mean, I guess this is not your standard SUV, but it sort of feels like you're driving in a very comfortable car. I could imagine driving this long distance, no problem.
That's an important factor. You know, you look for a lot of qualities in a car, from, you know, fit and finish and performance and handling and how it makes you feel, you know, long-term look. Is it a practical car? Do you get in and feel like your back is about to give way? Is it something you can drive for hours and still be, you know, interested in driving and not feel lethargic? And also, you know, is it something that, look, if you're spending $200,000 for a car, you want something that turns heads. And this does just that. I mean, just going at low speed, everybody's going to be like, what is that? What is that? So it's got the wow factor.
No, it feels like a beefy, strong, sturdy vehicle, you know, something that you could actually, not that I would want to take it super off-roading, but it certainly feels capable. And we were talking about the tires off camera, those 23s.
23s.
Yeah.
Those Pirellis, those are big tires.
Custom made for this car, right?
Custom made for this particular car. And they give you a lot of grip and superior handling.
So for people who are new watching you and me together, let's sort of describe who you are or who you would aspire to be. I mean, you're not a former race car driver. How would you describe yourself? A super enthusiast or collector, or, you know, how would you describe it?
So I'm not a collector. I don't have that kind of money. Like I said, I have one older car that performs really well, but I have been around a lot of expensive and high performance cars.
And you're originally from Ghana, right?
Ghana and West Africa, which is not a car nation, so to speak. But I've always had that love and, you know, interest in cars since I was very little.
And we were neighbors for,
We were neighbors for 8 years.
Red light, safety first.
Yeah, for 8 years.
And our boys grew up together. That was fun.
Yeah, we're friends off camera too.
So what are these things up front? Did you notice these?
Yeah, so I think those are the speakers.
Okay.
The Bang & Olufsen speakers.
Right, so there's speakers here on the side panels, right?
With the ubiquitous wide pattern everywhere.
Yeah, we were talking about, I know I've looked at a couple other reviews of this car, and I've seen everyone kind of notice the same thing, that there's hexagons and Ys. And we found it in sort of unusual places, right? Where are some of the places you've seen it?
Oh, it's all around. Even the body panels have them. The lights have them. They have them in the wheels. They have them in all these down near the diffuser. Very interesting placement. And I guess you have to know to notice them, right? But once you sit in the car, you just cannot miss the hexagons everywhere. It's very mathematical. I have a math background, so I look at these shapes and I find them pretty interesting.
Yeah, even here on the dash and
Yep.
the controls.
Even your head-up display has that. Do you have it on?
Yeah.
And I really, really like the Alcantara. I love leather. Leather to me just feels expensive and feels well thought out. And for cars of this level, I expect certain things, right, as a consumer. But the Alcantara really works here because it really gives a nice contrast to the yellow stitching.
Now we're just basically highway driving here on at very low speeds, but it's buttery smooth.
It's very smooth. This has 8 gears, correct?
It does.
So we're riding a car that's a twin turbo V8 with 641 horses and 627 pound-foot of torque. That's a lot of power. That's a lot of power, and we're sitting in it, and it doesn't feel like it's raring to go like you're getting an M3. It's really chill, it's relaxed, you can feel this is a true luxury car. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that can be very compliant, but then you have the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing going on, right? Where you're very compliant one second and the next you're barely legal. That's the point. It has to fulfill all those different tasks. But back to the torque. For 627 pound-foot of torque that you're going to be accessing at around 2200 RPM, it tells you if you really want to drive this car like a sports car, you don't even need to go fast. So even at low speeds, you can get that real grunt and it'll hit you like a sledgehammer if you wanted to. That's where torque really comes in, the lower speeds.
This feels like it has similar guts with all the engine power and torque that you just talked about, but it's something that you could take up to the mountains or go off the road. I mean, it's certainly got the clearance for it.
Yep.
I would never dream of doing that in either the NSX or the McLaren, obviously, but this is like the best of both worlds.
For now, I really like the sedate feel of it, but I cannot wait to get that monster screaming.
And we haven't gone, you talked about the handling. We haven't gone crazy in this car just
No, we
because
haven't.
it's a $200,000 car and it's not ours. Thank you, Lamborghini.
Thank
for
you,
loving
Lamborghini,
it.
for
Yeah.
letting us drive it.
We're going to try and bring it back to you in one piece. But I can imagine it's a beast off-road if we unleashed the beast, fully. Let's talk about the transmission a little bit. So I'm basically in, automatic transmission mode. It's shifting for me. I'm in 7th gear right now, going about 50 miles an hour. That's what the car automatically did for me. But there's a manual mode, and there's several other drive modes that we can talk about. What do you know about the transmission?
Well, looking at it, there are 6 modes for the transmission. You have Strata, which is obviously street, just by the sound of it. I'm not an Italian, but I can make that assumption. Sport, which is sport. CORSA, which is the track mode. And Sabia, I believe, or Sabia, I'm not good with that pronunciation. That means sand, I believe.
Yeah.
Then Terra is for off-roading, and Nieve is for snow. So this car can go anywhere. So this is not even a car, it's an SUV. It's a real off-roading vehicle. It's a luxury off-roading vehicle. Well, I look at a car like the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, which is twice the price of this, even more, $500,000. I don't know if it can do all these. They say it can, but Lamborghini actually makes you feel like, yeah, this can do it. Even before you start the car, you feel like this thing is designed to go off-road as well,
So what are some other comparable cars in this class?
Well, it's hard to compare. The first that comes to mind would be the Bentley Bentayga, which shares the same platform with this car. They all come from the VW Auto Group. So it shares the same platform with the Audi Q7. Speaking of which, this steering wheel feels very Audi R8 to me. the Audi Q7, the Q8, the Porsche Cayenne, as well as the Bentley Bentayga. If you wanted to look at just fast SUVs, you'd be thinking about a car like maybe an SUV like the Maserati Levante, the Trofeo or the GTS, or the Alfa Romeo Stelvia. And those, you know, in their best form can hit 60 in about 3.6 seconds. So that's a good comparison. But price-wise, you know, you're looking at a $200,000 car, and if you were looking at, say, the Maserati, I believe the Maserati is around 80, 90,000. And then when you look at the Alfa Romeo, I believe the GTS and Trofeo, I believe it's around 120 to 170,000. So it's hard to compare because of the price differentials and what these cars are meant to do. But if you're talking about SUVs that go really fast, I would compare this to the Bentayga. But this is actually slightly faster, right? This hit 60 in about 3.5. Bentayga is around 4.1. Not that it's a big difference, but I would put the Bentayga as a good competitor, even though they're, you know, from the same auto family, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, here we are in this kind of single, you know, double lane highway going only north and south, kind of, you know, windy road, narrow turns, cliffs on our side. Yeah, and it feels like we're driving in my Mercedes or your Lexus. Or, it's smooth. But
very little cabin noise, very smooth. But again, we're not pushing it. We're driving it like you would just any other car.
Yeah.
And it's doing what we expect it to do. For now. We're in reverse. We're just backing out a little bit, and then we'll put this baby in Terra for off-roading. So as mentioned, when you put it in Terra, the car is raised up around 1.6 inches. You feel it go up a little more. It feels very natural in this environment. It doesn't feel like you're driving a $200,000 car through the woods. I feel like I'm driving a pickup truck or some, you know, utility vehicle meant for off-roading. It's just a beautiful feeling. I wish I could explain it. You feel like doing donuts between the trees. We will not, but that's how you feel like when you're driving this thing. It's so capable. It just feels so natural. Like I have no inhibitions at all. I don't feel like I'm going to damage the car or scratch it. And I'm sure this is the same feeling you're gonna get when you take this out on like real off-roading. It's just so tight. The suspension is just so taut and so ready and supple. And it's hard to use the word supple when you're off-roading, but it just feels like it was meant to do this, which is very odd. Okay, so we're heading back to the road to test a couple more modes and see how this car responds. So first off, just driving this car, the first feel I get of it is an Audi. Not in a derogatory sense. I love Audis. Audis I think are highly refined. Holding the steering wheel just reminds me of the Audi R8. It has this really sporty and modern feel to it. So Lamborghini, really good job with this. I really like the feel of your steering wheel. So now we're back on the Ortega Highway, and we're gonna switch to track mode CORSA. And as soon as you switch, you notice the instrument cluster changes. It gets into the sport mode.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Oh my God. This car is mental! Mental!
Wow.
I was expecting this, but this... Wow! Wow. And the head-up display, I wish you could see it because it's telling me my speed, and there are all these little hexagons that tell me what RPM I'm in. This car is mental. Woo! Impressive. That's a big boy V8. large brakes, they stop this car like it's nothing. This is a 4,800 pound car, and it feels like we're driving a 911.
Oh, put your window up so we get better sound.
This car is the business. And now you can hear the V8 really wail. You can hear it. Listen to this. You can't go wrong with that. I could do this all day. Just listen to that. And the torque. See, you get the full... I don't even know where to start. This thing has really blown my mind. It makes my car feel slow. Now when I get back in my car, I'll be like, you slow. Woo! It handles very well in the curves. And you know, usually when I drive these cars, I try to break their stride a little bit and take it through curves and see how it maintains that line. So far, this thing will scare you. You won't be able to keep it there. You'll let off at some point because it keeps going. It never stops. Yeah, but this is a very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of car. Very, very, very multi-personality. Man, the melody coming from behind. And you get that supercar feel where you feel like the engine is in the back. And that's exactly what you want. You can, the presence of the car, it never leaves you. You feel like you're in something that's special, even before you depress the accelerator. I mean, this thing is insane. To me, feels more than $200,000. They could tag another 50 on and the buyers wouldn't blink. And you find that you don't even need to go too fast. You don't even need to break the speed limit. There's so much torque at low RPMs that you can get such an enjoyable drive without going above 65. And that's one of the things I look for in a supercar as well. Can I access that torque when I'm going really slow, right? Do you have to go really fast to feel like you're driving? No, this, I mean, so now we're, you know, about 50. Still under the speed limit. It's a beast.
As we just passed a sign that says speed enforced by radar.
I'm not surprised. And another thing that this car has going for it is it feels very light. So when you're in the curves, there's no body roll. Like you don't feel any, it doesn't feel sluggish. Like when I'm in the curve, like let's pound into this curve. There was no, like, you know, when you negotiate the curve with bigger cars, it'll feel svelte when you get in and then afterwards you'll feel the weight behind. Yeah. This one just, this car just begging for road. Give me asphalt, please. Get out the way. Well, and the good thing is if you want to behave yourself, then you just go back to Strata. And there, the mayhem is gone. And it's as quiet as it was before. That's the essence to me of a real supercar. That ability to switch between personalities and be well behaved, but bring out that, you know, hooliganism when it's needed. To me, it's on demand, right? It's when you need it, it's right there. Just tap on it, and it's a whole different animal. And now we're, you know, we're on a family trip with the kids, and it's nice and quiet.
Leisurely country drive.
Yep, very leisurely, doing the speed limit. I think that this thing is faster than the 3.6 they're advertising. It feels almost, it feels to me as quick as a new AMG E63S. And that thing hits 16.3.2. That's what this feels like. It's very sharp. And sitting in this, you don't feel like you're an SUV. You don't feel like, you know, you're at a disadvantage or you're you know, the clearance is too much for you to maneuver yourself. Right. I feel very confident when I'm going through curves. And I know there are much more challenging curves that we could negotiate, but so far what I've seen, I think this car is a winner.